The goal is to keep on going and to share their stories. Reporting as part of the San Diego Union-Tribune's social justice reporting project, local photographer and educator Jeff Valenzuela met with migrant caravans to find out what life has been like for migrants after they arrived at the border. And he joins us live now this morning to discuss more in detail. Good morning to you, Jeff.
Good morning.
Hey, thanks for having us, or thanks for coming on the show here. Really appreciate it. Tell us a little bit about this, the San Diego Union-Tribune's social justice reporting project. Tell us about the project and a little bit about how you got involved in this.
So the project itself, I think, is made up of 6 different individuals who were selected to participate. And I guess the idea is to bring some sort of authenticity to some of these stories around social justice. And yeah, so there was just an ad that was out there, and actually thanks to a peer and also someone I work with who's another artist in the San Diego region, Riz Javier, encouraged me to apply, and I did, and thankfully I was selected.
And talk a little bit about the caravans and the migrants. This was from a couple years ago, correct?
Yeah, well, that work, and like I know there was a photo that I had sent over of a caravan, actually like an event that happened here at the border at
Right.
Playas de Tijuana and Borderfield State Park. So that was all work that I had done as a volunteer. And support of migrants in support of the caravans. And that included accompanying one of the most recent ones, which was the larger one in the fall of 2018.
Okay, yeah, I recall that one, yeah. So you were able to talk with some of those migrants from that caravan. Have you been able to stay in touch, kind of track their progress and their storyline?
Yeah, well, outside of photography, like for me, photography kind of came about with the work that I was doing in support. And so that work continues, and I continue to do that work, and through that remain in touch with a lot of these people. Except maybe like Wendy, I think, was someone that I had only met here in Tijuana. And I, buy pupusas from her, and so that's how I got to know Wendy, actually.
Yeah, tell us a little bit more about Wendy's story. I was just going to ask you to give us an example of one of these migrants and what their story is, what their background is.
Yeah, well, like Wendy, for instance, I just got to know here in Tijuana just through some friends. Actually, no, she used to work at a restaurant, a pupuseria that serves Salvadorian food, and that's how I kind of knew of her. And then once the restaurant shut down during COVID, my friends let me know that she was now selling through like WhatsApp. And so, yeah, so then I just became a client of hers and got to know her that way.
Talk a little bit about the struggles some of these migrants have faced and how you've been able to document that.
Yeah, so the idea came about, this had started back in August, and so the idea was originally to do a sort of like 2 years after. That's kind of like how the project itself, or my project, originated. But in that time, everyone, there's a number of challenges that people face, and one of those, I think, and like the most kind of universal is discrimination. And that takes many forms. Someone like Wendy, for instance, was denied a job at a large supermarket chain here in Tijuana because they specifically said they only hire Mexican citizens. They don't hire foreigners, was what she said. And then other people like Walter, for instance. Walter was actually deported from Mexico, sent back to Honduras for the work that he was doing supporting caravans, and sort of became a recognized figure in that. And even now is having his residency denied, even after winning a case because he had an alert placed on his passport. And even with winning that case, he's now being denied that and being told he has X amount of days to leave the country. or someone like Edgar also, who left his country, because he identifies as LGBTQ. And even then, even being in detention, he spent time here in the Otay Mesa Detention Center, these for-profit immigrant prisons, and even there, for being a migrant, for being someone who looks like they don't know what their rights are, is subjected to a number of abuses and discrimination that way.
Jeff, we just got about 30 seconds left here, but what was the big takeaway for you with this project?
The big takeaway, and one of the reasons I had spoken kind of with these 4 individuals, is that at some point they all continued to support the others that follow them. That whether that's like Veronica, who would hold these letter writing campaigns and send letters to people that are currently in detention, or Edgar, who has been organizing, who goes out, who shares his story, was even in the process of doing a documentary to tell his story, or like Walter, who here in Tijuana knows a lot of the migrant community here, and oftentimes like helps spread the word when there's an organization providing a certain service or trying to get like information out, and even just accompanying people like he did. So everyone here, and there's a common theme that they continue, despite like all these challenges, they continue to try to help those that follow them.
Some incredible work, Jeff. Where can people check out what you guys are doing?
Well, the website, I think they can get to it for the Social Justice Project through the San Diego Union-Tribune.
Okay.
And I'm not sure exactly where else, but I think I know it came out in the Sunday print, and it's socialjusticereportingproject.com.
Gotcha.
And there you can go to everyone else's stories, and I encourage people to check out the other stories as well.
As do we. All right, Jeff, thanks so much for your time. We really appreciate it. Great reporting.
Thank you.